Okay, in this lesson we're ready to create our first web page, and we're going to call it the superhero profile. The first thing we do is we need to create a file in our code editor, and as you recall, if it's going to be a file that's displayed in your browser, you have to give it this .html extension, which stands for Hypertext Markup Language, which lets your browser know that's what it's receiving. So the first thing that I have typed is the thing that we learned needs to go in every web page that you do. This first line is a statement telling the browser that your page is HTML5, which is the current version of the Hypertext Markup Language, and it supports things such as video and audio, which earlier versions did not. So this helps browsers to know what they're actually dealing with. Now, there's a group, you're probably wondering, like, why do I have to put this stuff in my page? What happens if I don't? There's a group called the W3C, which stands for World Wide Web Consortium, which is just a group of people that get together and they make up all the rules about how the browser should run and how the actual languages need to be displayed in the browsers. And of course, they can't really enforce the rules, but usually by just tradition, things that they make rules on do get actually implemented. Anyway, so there's another rule that's very important that they have made up, is the second element that needs to be in every page is called the title element. And as you recall, most elements, like the title, but not like the doc type, consist of an opening tag, as you see here, with two angle brackets, a closing tag with two angle brackets and a forward slash before the actual text of what the element is. And then in between, of course, we're going to say what the title of the page is, which we're going to call Code Avengers Profile. Give them credit for this page. Okay, so we save it, and then we're going to display the page. I don't know if I displayed it. There it goes. Oh, there's nothing in there. Actually, this title element isn't an actual title that goes in the web page itself. But if you see at the top, I've opened a couple other ones up there too, but if you see the tab that's actually active, that's where it's actually going to be displayed. The Code Avengers, that's where the title is. So if we want to put another title in our page, we're going to have to type it in. An actual title, I should say. Space. Okay, let's save this and take a look. Well, that's not too good. Titles should be a lot bigger, I think. Okay, and other things should happen to them too, but mainly in this lesson, we want to make that bigger. And there actually are special elements to change the size of the headings that we call them, and they are actually called H for headings. And the biggest one is the H1. So I put the open tag for that, and the browser being very smart, the editor being very smart, gives me the closing tag. So I'm just going to have to paste what it is in between them. So let's take a look at this and see what happens. There you go. So that's the biggest size of heading. There are other sizes. There's actually 4 more, and we're going to show them to you also just by copying this and then pasting them 4 times. Get rid of this. Oops. Made a mistake here. Happens. Okay, so all we need to do is, maybe you figured out, if the biggest one was called H1, The next biggest one would be H2, and you can see it's telling me there's an error there because the closing tag has to match the opening tag. So your editor is your friend, and you have this color highlighting on it to let you know what's actually going on. I'm sorry, this would be H3, not thinking. And 4. There are only 5 levels. If you try to do a H6, it's going to give you an error. So we'll do the 5 levels. And basically on one web page, I don't think you'd have any need for more than 5 levels of headings. Let's display that. And you see how they look. So when you get down to this level of heading, it's probably as big as the font that you're using in the rest of your page's content. One thing I want to point out here is that headings are used for headings. If you want to make your font bigger or smaller in other elements of your web page, like paragraphs, you don't use headings for that. Headings, it's what we call the semantics of the web. So if we call it a heading element, it's used only for headings. So if you're using it in a paragraph, they're probably not going to say anything about it as far as the code editor is going to give you an error, but it's really bad practice. You want to change your font sizes in other ways. When we get into CSS, we'll learn how to do that. Okay, let's get rid of all these headings except for the first one, because we don't need all those. We just need our main heading to our page. And let's start adding some content. So the first thing I want to add is my name for my superhero. And I'm going to call that Cyber Girl. And then I want to add my birthday, which is the 30th of May. Okay, now if I save it now, what do you think is going to happen when I display it? Oops. What was it I forgot? What was it I forgot? A break. See, the browser's not smart enough to know that there's a break there unless you actually give it the tag that tells you that there will be a break, which, as you remember, is BR. And this is one of those tags which really don't need a closing tag, and you'll kind of learn that after a while, but some people just put it in anyway. It is good practice. Okay, so we have, let's try it again and see what happens. Okay, there you go. So that break does what it's supposed to do. Now, I kind of don't like the 30th the way it is. And there is a special tag that HTML5 has. It's new, I think, with HTML5. I think, maybe I'm saying something that's not true, but it's called the SUP, or superscript tag. So we're going to put our sup tag in here, just where the TH is. And, of course, I find it here in my code handler. And I'll put my closing tag, and of course it's in the wrong place, the closing tag, so I'm just going to Control-X that and put it where it needs to be, after the H. Okay, so let's see what that looks like. And there you go. Another thing I think that we need to do is put our height in here. And of course we know before we put our height in, we want to open up another line break here. So we will do that. And I'm going to keep it in meters, just like it is displayed on the Code Avengers pages. Okay, so that would be 0.6 meters. All right, let's save it, take a look at it again. It's always good, you know, when you add something, just take a look and see that it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. And this code editor is very good for doing that sort of thing.